I talked with Ronan McLaughlin on the phone of Escape Collective around a little before Thanksgiving last year, and during the phone call, we probably both realized we're like working on the exact same thing at the same time. And I thought we just have better weather here. It's not
Sure.
raining constantly like it is in Ireland. So I was
Yeah.
able to get some more stuff done and talk to him a few more times about it. And I had enough confidence, honestly, from the sheer fact that he would even talk to me. I
Yeah.
had enough confidence from that this cannot be that terrible if Ronan McLaughlin will talk to me about it. Uh, so that was pretty encouraging, and yeah, that was the start of it. Was you know having a little bit of success with it and some confidence from somebody I figured knew more about what
Sure.
I was trying to do, at least at the time.
What's going on, everybody? My name is JP, and I want to welcome you to the Stable Cyclist podcast, where we talk about bikes, life mentality, and when the occasion arises, mental health. My guest today is John Karrasch, or you might recognize him by his social media handle, FlexFitbyJohn, as he is the go-to guy currently for tire speed and tire rolling resistance and all those good things. But before we get John in the studio, I want to remind you that the Stable Cyclist podcast is brought to you by Flow Formulas. If you are training for a big event or getting ready just to go out and exercise on the bike, Flow Formulas should be in your bottles before, during, and after activity. So you can use the code JohnPeter15 at checkout to get a little discount on those goodies if you go shopping at flowformulas.com. And like I said, you'll have a great time on the bike. I do want to encourage you to make sure you are following along on the podcast. If you are a audio listener, make sure you hit that follow button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you would also do us a favor and give us a 5-star review or rating while you're there, that would be incredible. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you are subscribed and that you also hit that thumbs up button if you are enjoying things. All right, enough of all that. Let's get John into the studio. Well, John Karrasch, welcome to the Stable Cyclist podcast. I think you are maybe the most popular person in the bike social media world with nerd stats that nobody knows anything about. So I figured it was time you come on here and we tell your story.
Yeah, hopefully I remember all the nerd stats myself.
I'm sure the gravel dads will correct you if you don't.
Always, never fails.
Cool, man. Well, you are in Birmingham, Alabama, and I guess we're gonna start like I always start, like how in the world do we find the bike and get into it on any kind of level, whether you're working at a shop or racing or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's a great place to start. So I'm not particularly old. I'm 39, but I have been riding for a long time. Started riding in 99 or 2000, I believe. And my mom actually got me started with it. She worked out in Anniston, kind of near Coldwater Mountain here, and just brought home some bike catalogs one day, and I realized those were nice bikes, but I had a not nice bike in the shed, an old Huffy something or other, and started taking it out to. She'd drive me to Oak Mountain. I'd go ride the whole loop out there on that thing until I probably realized I was doing something dangerous, and got a cheap GT hardtail. Started racing cross country immediately because cross country was huge then in the Southeast and probably everywhere. So quit playing soccer and baseball, all in on mountain bikes, and kept at it till now, which is 25 years later, and still really into it. Fortunately, I've never gotten burned out on riding at all or training or any of that. So I'm around it all day and still love it.
Yeah. So how long have you been at the shop working or wrenching in general?
Wrenching in general since 2004 or 5.
Okay.
That was my college job. I intended for my college job to be as a chef or a pizza cook or something like that because that's what I knew how to do. And they weren't hiring. I realized there was our shop in Cahaba Heights was right next door to that pizza place, and thought I know how to work on bikes, and went in there, and they sent me over to our Homewood shop and had a mutual friend. So got hired right away, learned how to work on stuff, and so college job, and then picked back up there about probably 11 years ago for fitting bikes, which I did part time for a few years, and I've been full time there fitting for gosh, it's almost 5 years now. Yeah, 5 years.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
What were you going to college for? And were you at UAB?
I had kind of a roundabout way through college. Yeah, I started at UAB.
Okay.
I started at UAB, and I was a nursing major. I was a nursing major because I was really into my first anatomy class was so good there that I thought I need to do something with this. And of course, as UAB's nursing school is hard to get into, and unfortunately, as soon as I got in, I realized I don't want to do this at all. So I quit. I quit and swapped to a physical therapy assistant program nearby and did that, and that ended up being a really good choice. That was a big choice at the time for me, but it was the right thing, and got out and worked in outpatient clinics for a few years with that, and that was really what set me up to start fitting bikes. It's not the conventional way of going about it. Not that there is a conventional way for that, really. Yeah. A little bit of everything. So it set me up perfectly for that, and I never intended for that to be my full-time deal. I kind of hoped it would, but that was a big stretch to go from 1 day a week fitting bikes to 5. And but eventually decided to go for it, and it worked out quite well. So I enjoy it still.
Yeah. So how? I mean, you said it's a not direct path. How do you even get into fitting a bike? Does it start with a friend? Does it start with you just knowing what you know about physiology and kinesiology? How does that path happen?
Gosh, I don't even know. I was just curious about it. Okay, I was curious about it because I've always ridden and raced bikes and was careful with how I set my stuff up. And I was riding a lot then. I was racing a lot. I started getting into racing ultra stuff then, so I was riding 15, 20 hours a week. And I did the best I could with my bikes. And finally, I thought I should go to somebody and get in or pay for a fit. And the couple I had in the Southeast, I was just not. I don't know. I just thought there was more to it that needed to be done. So I started doing it because I talked to, some people know of him, but Australian guy, Steve Hogg, probably one of the most famous.
I was going to ask how much he influenced you.
A lot. Steve, between his website and talking to him directly, he had a really strong influence on how I worked, and it kind of jived with how I approach things in the PT clinic anyway. No hard rules for anything. Just look at what you have in front of you and talk to the person and do your best with it. So Steve told me you just need to go get started right away. And so I thought, I don't want to think about it. Let me just go start. So I started on 1 day a week, and that was without any formal training with it. We eventually decided at the shop I should go up to Trek's program and at least check the box off, so to speak.
Sure.
And so over time, I use a lot of what I learned in school for kind of gait analysis with people in the clinic, and a lot of that carries over. And I try to learn from as many different places as I can, because there's no source with that stuff that knows everything. Yeah. And there's a lot of information out there that can be used, I think, that people don't necessarily always even know about. So pretty much try to learn it all, try to learn the background of it, the research papers, all of it. I'm usually not kind of a dabbler with anything that I start doing, which probably carry over to the tire testing stuff too.
For sure. So were you assigning SMP saddles to everyone after being a Steve Hogg disciple initially?
It's tempting to, for sure. Steve's big on those. I rode one for a while on my bike, and I recommended them to people here and there, and I still do, but for saddles, I try to stick with what people bring in on the bike with them, because it's somewhat unrealistic to think that you're going to have to go on this wild hunt for the perfect saddle for each person that comes in, because what I've found is it's more important where it's placed than the actual model oftentimes. And if it's something just awful, I'll bail out on it pretty quick. But I use a variety of things. But Steve has a lot of strong opinions, and that's probably part of
That's
his
one of them,
appeal. You know.
for sure. So what is, you mentioned there's like a lot of information out there and nobody really knows all of it. What does professional development look like for you today within the fitting world?
Okay, so there's probably two sides of that. One side would be kind of paying attention to what other people are doing that fit
Sure.
bikes, because like I said
Yep.
earlier, there's a lot of variety to it. Pay some attention to who seems to be really good at it, just as a kind of loose marker for what is used by who's the best. Okay, that's one way I look at it. There's actually somebody in Minnesota, Chris Balzer. You know who that is?
I know that name. Yep.
I pay pretty close attention to Chris. Still read Steve Hogg's website from time to time. I'm friends with Jerry Gerlich in Texas that also is trained by Steve. So pay attention to what those guys are talking about and doing. And the other side of that is more of the research base of it, because after I went to Waterloo for Trex training, I had all these manuals I came back with, and I didn't want to exhaust the guys that are teaching us, but I wanted to know more about why are these the guidelines? Who decided
Sure.
these are the rules? When would you follow them? Why are they the rules? So you can find all this stuff. It's all available on PubMed or wherever, but research on bike fit goes back 20, 30, maybe 40 years, and it's changed a lot over that time. But knowing exactly why things are suggested the way they are helps give context for when you might follow those rules or when they might not matter.
Yeah.
You know, because they're just guidelines ultimately, and it's I've also gotten a lot of my approach from paying attention to kind of weightlifting and strength and conditioning
Yep.
research.
Yep.
Just the biomechanics of it's really good. And another guy, Chris Johnson, who's a physical therapist out in, where is he now? Seattle, I believe. He does a lot of running analysis type work with
Sure.
people, which is hard to do. It's hard to change what somebody does automatically and repetitively. So it's with all that stuff together, I'm trying to get something for a bike setup where somebody just gets on it and doesn't have to think about it, and they ride hard,
Yeah.
and it still feels easy when you're going hard, so to speak. So there's a lot of stuff going into it, but that's just what I found to be a good approach for it. It's probably I probably say a lot of things that I'm fitting bikes that sound overly simple or not smart or educated to customers, but that's just kind of learning the confidence to not say everything fancy all the time.
Right on. So you bike fit full time now. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And what is
I coach some people too.
okay?
I coach maybe a half dozen people as a side work, but
Sure.
yeah, it's fitting bikes pretty much.
How many a day are we talking? And yeah, I guess let's start there. How what does your day look like as a bike fitter?
I try not to do more than 2 fits in a day.
Okay.
One fit is going to take roughly 3 hours for me to do, so they're somewhat lengthy, and I try not to do more than that because it's mentally exhausting to try to do that, and I've found that anytime I've tried to cram in work like that, I end up regretting it and redoing part of it usually. So basically, just try to set up for a good result each time, and also mechanically with parts, you don't know what sort of things you might get into adjusting
Sure.
things on a bike, because it's not always easy adjustments, and I would rather count on almost like worst case scenario for everyone that comes in, especially if they tell me it's going to be an easy one, then I really like give me some time buffer. Yeah, that's it, fitting all day, and then in between that, just trying to call people back to schedule them, and I'm in the bike shop here at
Sure.
Cahaba Homewood. So there's all kinds of stuff with customers just coming in and out, and if we're doing a custom build that I'm helping with plan, back and forth with our mechanics and sales guys there. So
Sure. So I think that's probably all really interesting to people who might know who you are, but they're going to be like, what? You're the tire guy. And so at what point do you start testing tires or like being curious about it? I guess just to start with, when did you start dabbling in that?
Longer ago than most people would expect, and
Sure.
longer ago than I think I've like even told anyone. So it was 2009.
Oh,
I
wow.
think. It was not. It wasn't anything good then. It was like it wasn't terrible. It was just time testing between two bike setups. Like I would use like a Peavine Falls road here because it's kind of rough pavement and long
Yep.
and undisturbed, and trying to figure out what stuff to run. Mainly, I was going back and forth then between a aluminum 2.9er with a rigid fork with a single speed setup for gravel stuff, and got in my head at some point that wasn't a real bike for it, and got a cyclocross bike with V brakes and drop bars, and I was going back and forth between those, and I'd kind of figured out at that point that the mountain bike, even with the flat bars, was a little faster. Partly with single speed just really changes the dynamic of the racing that you're doing.
Sure.
You're not necessarily trying to optimize it for smashing it on the flats because you can't. You're just trying
Yeah.
to survive. And then the kind of ironic thing there is I took exactly the wrong bike setup to like probably the hardest race I've done, which was Trans Iowa when it was around.
Oh, wow.
And I had such a good bike with that. It was a on one hardtail, single speed, great bike. And I decided to take the cross bike with me with the V brakes and like Schwalbe, like marathon touring tires, probably just because that's what everybody else used up there.
Yeah.
And then I got up there and we got in the hotel, and it was just, saw a couple people rolling bikes that were like the one I left at home, and I was like, oh man, I'm kind of jealous. I wish I brought mine with me. And yeah, so that was not a success. But anyway, I tested a little bit then and picked it up, years later, kind of recently, and I did some aerodynamic testing with the method I use now. I did that a few years ago when you're starting to hear more wind tunnel stuff come out about off-road bikes, and that was I was fascinated by that, and I was like, I want to try some of this and see what I can get from it, and did my tests, and it was nice to get some numbers and sent them over to Josh at Silka to see what he thought about it, and he was like, pretty good, keep going with it if you want. And of course then I stalled out with it a little bit because I didn't know what else to do, and it's hard to find courses for it, and I wasn't super good at it. Then I realized now from looking back. So, and then last year,
let's talk about you reaching out to Josh and asking him about, was this like just a cold out of the blue message to him, or how did you and why did you reach out to him, I guess would be my question.
He had more references to Chung method stuff than anybody I'd come across.
Yeah.
And when he mentioned it, it all seemed like some kind of like black magic that I wish I could do. I was like, man, I wish I could do that. So yeah, I just cold emailed him. I do it fairly often if I want to talk to somebody, because I think if you want to talk to somebody that seems, important to you, a strong approach is better than a soft one.
Yeah.
Because they'll know you're taking it seriously. So yeah, just cold email, and he responded right away to it, and a couple more times. And so after I got more serious into the tire stuff about a year ago, I did not end up in a situation where I was without a gravel bike at the nicest time of year, like right now riding. And so I had my mountain bike and was riding it with a rigid fork and Aspen 2.4s on it. And that was when this was starting to get a ton of buzz around between like Grand Prix riders using bigger tires throughout the year. And there was an impression, I think, for a while where it was, and that was probably part of it, is like they're trying not flat. Okay.
Yeah.
Trying not flat when you're riding in a group and you're smashing stuff. And that was the thing in my head was like, okay, I know they're doing it for that reason, but nobody's really got anything on whether this is faster or not. I mean, there's some tests that have been out there just kind of loosely done that I had heard
Yeah.
about, but it was nothing like hard numbers or anything. So I I didn't have much experience honestly with riding a gravel bike on 40s or 35s or 45s because I'd come at it from the opposite side where I
Sure.
always ran 29 by 2.0s, and so the honestly it made it even more confusing to me. I was like, I don't know what's going on anything, and everyone's talking about it, and I want to find out, or I want somebody to find out. If it's me, fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, I got to figure this out a little bit. So started doing a little bit of test runs, and it came together kind of quick once I tried it a few times. I realized it was possible, and there were lots of lingering kind of the variables type questions which always come up, but there's no way to figure them out other than to do them and find out. So just kept rolling with it, and then got the I talked with Ronan McLaughlin on the phone of Escape Collective around a little before Thanksgiving last year, and during the phone call, we probably both realized we're like working on the exact same thing at the same time, and I thought we just have better weather here. You know, it's not
Sure.
raining constantly like it is in Ireland, so I was
Yeah.
able to get some more stuff done and talk to him a few more times about it, and I had enough confidence, honestly, from the sheer fact that he would even talk to me. I
Yeah.
had enough confidence from that this cannot be that terrible if Ronan McLaughlin will talk to me about it. Uh, so that was pretty encouraging, and yeah, that was the start of it. Was you know, having a little bit of success with it and some confidence from somebody I'd figured knew more about what
Sure.
I was trying to do, at least at the time.
Yeah. But doing all these tests behind the scenes and talking to people behind the scenes is one thing. Posting your data on social media, and like you don't have a huge social media following
No.
like the numbers the pros do, but still taking all that info and being like, here it is. Was there some I guess I just want to hear how you felt getting ready to be more public about the information you were gathering versus just like,
Mm.
hey, this is interesting. I'm running these tests behind the scenes.
I didn't have as much control over that as I would have wanted to, actually.
Okay.
It started, it didn't, I posted a little bit about it on Instagram, which that's a little bit more of a controlled environment, you know?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, by virtue of not being famous, you don't have all these people looking at it. So you just do your
Yeah.
stuff and go on. And then one of my friends here sent me a message one day. He's like, man, you need to take a look at the Trainer Road forum right now. There's a lot of mentions of your stuff on there, and they're not all positive. And I was like, uh-oh, this is not what I wanted to deal with at all. So of course on there, there's that's a big forum.
Yeah.
Like that and MTBR, I would say those are the biggest ones out there for off-road stuff. And I looked it up, and there was concerns, questions, some of it positive. So I went ahead and I had to make an account because I'd never even posted on there. So so I answered a few of the questions and stuff just as honestly as I could, and just I was like, I don't want to be debating people about this stuff, but
Yeah.
I want to give people reasonable doubt that their questions are somewhat important because I don't know everything, and there
Yeah.
might have been things at the time I needed to improve. So some of the stuff I pushed back on with people because if you do what everybody asks you for online, you're going to be so tied up in that you can't even do your regular stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
so yeah, so it started being posted there, and probably after, and then but it does kind of feel like all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's your stuff to the whole world. Let's see what they think of it, and that's kind of scary because for all I knew, there were a ton of people doing this, and they were all better than me at it. You
Sure.
know, you don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
totally possible. I was like, okay, we're about to find out what really happens here. And after I did the performance process episode with Ronan, or actually during that, I had another moment where we were 10 minutes into the phone call, and he told me like, oh yeah, I just recorded with like Robert Chung the episode before you, so let's keep rolling with ours. And that's it's like taking a test you don't know the answers to yet.
Yeah.
Or what the professor already, gave the answers to. So I thought then either this is like a really horrible setup for me on this podcast,
Yeah.
or Ronan's got more of a maybe plan here than I'm aware of, and it'll go together really well. It turned out to be the latter, fortunately.
Okay.
There was a lot of things that Robert and I kind of agreed on with the method and everything, the way we used it. So that was a well done by Ronan, and a relief for me once it aired and the other one aired, and then it was another step of here's for real, like everybody around the world able to see it and ask questions. And there were a lot of questions about it. Most good, some are some kind of doubtful of it, which is fine. Everyone's allowed to have their thoughts and opinions. And the I'd never used a Discord platform before, so it's unfamiliar to me online. And so a lot of stuff on Escape is through their Discord group, which is it's kind of an intense group of people to be around because it's semi-anonymous. Like I use my real name on there because I don't have any reason not to, but a lot of people don't use their real name, and there's a lot of people that either work with pro teams or have before, or run pretty extensive sort of testing R&D stuff on there. So you got a lot of people looking at it. You don't know who's asking you questions about what, or it's just kind of it's a lot of stuff going on at once.
Yeah.
But with all of that, it was probably a good thing ultimately, just because it reinforced it for me. Like, okay, you're not you're not screwing around, like just doing whatever now for yourself. Other people do see it, and if you are gonna put it out there, like, probably need to be like super confident that it's like the best you can get it in a lot of ways. And that turned out to be a really good mindset to have for me with it, because it just makes you get better at it, which is ultimately what you want to be doing with anything you're doing, I think.
Sorry to interrupt, but I do have some breaking news about a new exciting gravel series in the Midwest kicking off this year. Chase Wark is hosting the North Star Gravel Series, which is 4 events of varied disciplines in the gravel world spread across 6 months' time. And best of all, there is a $10,000 payout that'll be split across the top 10 of the men and women in that series if you are able to complete all 4 events. And everything gets kicked off with Granny's Gravel Grinder in May. That falls on May 2nd. That is followed by the Hot Dish on June 13th and 14th, a 2-day event in Winona, Minnesota. The Day Across Minnesota is August 1st, and the Filthy 50 is October 10th. Registration for the North Star Gravel Series will open January 1st. Now, the registration for the individual events will not open until the 3rd, or in the case of the Filthy 50, it doesn't open until in June. And so if you want to get your spot, and these races will sell out because they did last year, especially the Day Across Minnesota. If you want to have your spot in the series, you can get it on January 1st. Go ahead and get registered. All 4 races, total cost for registration, if you register all at the same time, is $345 total. That is the same cost or cheaper than racing at Unbound in a single event. Guarantee your spot, like I said, for all the events by registering at bikereg.com. I will have a link in the description below if you're interested in checking that out. And as I said, the North Star Gravel Series is here. It is put on by Chase Wark, and his events do not disappoint. So if you are into gravel racing and you want to go on a wild adventure throughout Minnesota, across the entire state during the year, the North Star Gravel Series is for you. Check it out in the link today. Who did you have to talk with you through all of this? Because like you go from doing something that's like, I mean, literally it's a hobby for fun on the side that you're just like, I just want to know about this, to you're in the Escape Collective Discord as the center of attention and you're on the Trainer Road, discussion board as the center of attention. Like that, I think a lot of people listening to this would be like, that sounds really stressful. And how did you, that's like worst nightmare scenario for a lot of people. So how did you,
it would be,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. How did you work through that, or who did you have to talk to like, kind of refine your identity in that process? Because we can lose it in those situations easily.
Oh, you really could. There's so many ways that you could either panic, or I would say a lot of the times I could see people just totally shutting down with that kind of attention with something you're doing that's important that you might not totally know about. So as far as who I talked to about it, there was a guy in I think the UK, whose blog I read some before I started. He'd done a little bit of virtual elevation testing off-road over there, and he's an aerodynamicist by trade, and does a lot of pretty complicated software stuff too that I don't know about. But anyway, his name's Nick Dart, and I talked to him some, and the stuff I was getting seemed somewhat similar to things that he had gotten, and he was helpful. And then Robert Chung himself ended up being really helpful.
Okay.
I've learned that anyone that does anything that anyone that's that smart like him and does such like kind of detailed work and testing, it's kind of out there stuff. So they don't have many people to talk to about it. So when they do get a chance to talk to somebody about it, they're probably going to be all in for it. And that was the case. So he talked to me a good bit about it. And let's see, who else? That was kind of it. There really weren't very many people for me to necessarily lean on. I'll tell you who I talked to a lot is my coaching partner, Jason, over in Mississippi.
Okay.
So Jason's he's a software engineer at Cisco and a coach, pretty smart guy, and he was a good person to kind of lean on for the moments of not. You'll have I've had so many times with all this where I just thought like I've learned something small that was a little bit different to what I was doing, and I would think like, oh crap, I've ruined all this. The whole thing's like a like a sham, so to speak, and just go back and look at everything again for all this stuff, and then realize like, okay, no, it's pretty good still. But that happens a lot. So those are the people I was talking to, and the people with the online stuff. It's hard to tell initially how much people actually know about it when they're asking me questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I had the experience of somebody asking me just a lot of different things that were very detailed questions and all this stuff. And finally I was like, maybe he's got something I can learn from him. So I asked him like, well, what's your experience been with this stuff? And he told me like, oh, I only tried it a couple times a couple years ago and it didn't go very well. So that was a moment where I thought, probably stick to my guns a little bit on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, because I think it's correct. But there's endless chances to doubt yourself with everything.
Yeah. And now you're kind of at the point where there's still maybe pushback, but I think there's I think of my friends at the bicycle station. I think of Dylan Johnson. These are people that are like waiting for you to reveal, tire X that you haven't done yet, or they're waiting to hear about things when it comes out. And then they all reshare it and they're like, this is the one we've been waiting for. And I think especially within the pro field, there's a lot of curiosity about what you're doing. And so what has that been like? Just like kind of, you're still bike fitting full time, but you've got this thing that's quite popular right now that you've slid into much more. What has that been like as you get ready to reveal tests that you're doing or reveal the data for the next thing?
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun as long as everything's going well. And it's because stuff still goes wrong like pretty often, which means redoing tests and whatnot, but that's fine. It's just part of it for me is being sure of myself to like not get in a rush with doing stuff.
Sure. Like
don't just fake it or like breeze through it. Like just do it correctly or wait on better weather or whatever and get it done correctly. But with the kind of people that ride professionally looking at it, it doesn't surprise me. People that are at that level are, for the most part, very into their equipment and choosing it and setting it up well, even if they don't talk about it a lot. That's one thing I've realized is that just because somebody doesn't talk about it a lot, that doesn't mean they haven't spent all these hours getting their bike dialed in for whatever event or course. So yeah, people definitely pay attention to it. And there's also I've realized that kind of stuff as far as people that are pros, any conversations I have with them about their bikes or whatever, there needs to be some kind of professional respect there. Like I'm pretty, I'm not gonna say I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm pretty good at spotting tires when people are running them that people might not otherwise notice. And I've noticed some things and messaged people about setups they've ran somewhere and had them tell me like, yeah, it's pretty sick. Please don't tell anybody about it. So, and so I'm like, fair enough, like,
Yeah.
I'll get their thoughts on it, kind of how they set stuff up. And in return, I don't, show the whole internet all their, bike setup, stuff, which is, I just think that that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's next in this process? Is it just you've kind of found a groove with this and now it's as tires come out, you will continue to work on them? Or do you see this beyond what it is right now?
I try not to plan things out too far in advance because it can be really overwhelming.
Sure.
So, and I try to, everything, I like what I'm doing so far, and other people seem to like it too, and I'm not burned out on it, and I like doing it. So I'm trying to keep the same kind of mindset going with it, which is do make my plans based on what tires I've tested recently. What questions are there for me, and what next tests might possibly answer those or not answer them, and that's how I plan what tires to kind of get and run. And as far as other stuff with it, that there is other stuff. I recently had well, since I started this, one really lingering thing has been what about single track trails? What about for real mountain
Sure.
bike trails? Okay, totally unknown in my opinion as far as like what's
Yep.
best or even what happens there with rolling resistance. But I did some kind of impromptu testing up at Mulberry Gap near Ellijay, Georgia, a couple weeks ago, and I got some, in my opinion, super legitimate rolling results on the Pinhoti 1 trail up there, and those lined up pretty well with one of the only published studies on this stuff there is, which is by the Swiss Federation from 2018. And what I got tracks really closely with that. So that one gave me the knowledge that this will work, and that I can do it, out of town. Okay, because that's everyone's always curious. Oh yeah, that's your gravel. What about my gravel?
Sure.
It's all different. It's all different.
Yeah.
So and up at Mulberry, I was able to get we rode a bunch, so I had a lot of exposure to different roads, and I was able to. I had a few that I thought, these are real close, I think, to what I've got at home for these categories, so to speak, and they were super super close to what I've had categorized for like medium and then rough stuff, and there was some, oh gosh, super rough stuff that I couldn't get anything good from that
Right.
time, but that's fine. And so now I know like I can go really to any probably race course I wanted to and get some decent testing done. Let's see, as far as what else is next, I'm working on I've got a Wahoo Ace computer right now, which has the wind sensor thing, which has not gotten great reviews, and
Correct.
oh man, yeah, it's huge. But it's got, the app doesn't do much for it, and the on-screen display doesn't do much, but the stuff that's in the fit files from Wahoo that I use in the software to process all of it, the fit files are pretty detailed and pretty good. They need some adjustment, and I need to I need to talk to somebody at Wahoo about all the whatever's going on inside that thing that makes it decide what to spit out as a win number. But that's something I'm working on. I want to do some more mountain bike tire testing soon. I don't have my bike only clears 2.4s at the moment, but I'd like to have something that would take a little bit more. I've also very unsuccessfully, unfortunately, been trying to get a 32-inch bike to test some.
Ah, sure.
Because it's they're coming, and there's a lot more than the Aspen 2.4 coming apparently. So after a year of the back and forth, are the tire manufacturers going to do something, or are the frame manufacturers going to do something? I think they're all probably working on something, but I have not been able to get a demo from anybody, and I don't know all the reasons for that. I haven't tried super hard either to get one.
Yeah.
And there's but that's just kind of the loose like structure going forward. But basically it is like kind of keep rolling with it, because we're at a good time in the tire and rim market to continuously be paying attention to what's going on, because that stuff's really accelerated the last 3 or 4 years with
absolutely
quality of the products that come out. Even on the road market, like, stuff's gotten so good. So it's sometimes I feel like I just got kind of lucky with the timing on when I'm doing this stuff, and when I've gotten, honestly, also the timing of when I've gotten particular tires. Okay. Yeah. And that stuff just like, it's just a good coincidence sometimes. I'm cool with that. Like, I got somebody procured some of the ancient like Max Light 2.9s from 10 years ago, like from dead stock in a warehouse, and brought them to me to test back in it was right at the time of Sea Otter, whenever that was, maybe in April. Yeah. And just by like sheer like luck, that's what the Santa Cruz guys were using on their bikes right before the new Maxxis stuff came out, like the Reaver, like the HyperX Reaver and all that. And at the time, I'm wrong all the time with my thoughts too. I'm gonna go ahead and say that right now. So I make all my bad speculations, and I saw the Max lights on those bikes, and I was like, oh wow, that's pretty interesting. And then them swapped with the Reavers the next day, and I was like, oh, give me a break. They totally made all those guys change those tires out. They can't be that good. And I got a hold of some of the new Maxxis stuff, and turned out I was like, I can't believe this. They actually are like good enough to be swapping over from those other tires. So the good timing sometimes is worth a lot, I feel like.
For sure. That was a lot of like serious, fun story information. We always finish things off, John, with what I call the random fire section. It's not rapid; it's a random fire. These are just more fun, and kind of let us see. A lot of the conversations we have on this podcast can get pretty serious, whether it's, falling down the well of tech or falling down like a mental health hole or whatever it is. And we want to kind of bring it back to some loose conversations at the end. And so we get things started with the gas station question. And you and I have actually ridden my bike in rural Alabama. You and I are going to go on a long gravel ride in rural Alabama, and eventually we're going to run out of fuel on our ride, and we're going to have to stop at a rural Alabama gas station. And what are you going to get in this gas station to get us home for food and drink?
Let's see. Find some crushed ice, first of all. And don't make anybody mad about how you obtain it or put it in your bottle or pay or anything that would get you removed from the gas station. That's probably the most important thing, is don't make any enemies coming in there. And from there, I'd probably get a Coke, a good 12-ounce Coke in a can. That's like really good. Water if I need it. For food, I usually want some, I really like dill pickle chips, especially if it's hot outside. So I'll get a big bag. Or, well, like I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, it's probably 500 calories. I know how many are
Yep.
in the bag. So eat a bunch of those, and if they have some of the other stuff that's in there, it depends on how long it's been sitting out. Maybe that it looks like, but some of the places here will have like those really big French fries that have been cooking. You get some of those, or just you got to be an opportunist when you go in there. You never know what you're gonna find, especially if it's something really country. But I'll get
Yeah.
if they got some of that like Hunt Brothers pizza, I'll get one of those with a cheese slice. Eat that, something salty. If
Yep.
there's anything like let's see, sometimes like some sour Skittles, maybe something like
Sure.
that'd be good. Nothing that'll melt. And
If you're in the South especially, you got to go for like the tin foil wrapped next to the cash register. You're not sure what's even in it.
yeah, that stuff's good usually. It's guaranteed to probably be already like packed up to fit in a jersey pocket and
Yep.
has like a ton of calories in it. That stuff's perfect. Like I'll eat probably just about like anything food wise out riding, especially if you're just going on a long ride and you're not racing or riding super
Yeah.
hard. It's just all kind of calories. So I'm happy to take whatever. And you just saying that about the stuff on the counter reminded me. I really like riding around the holiday time here because you always have some leftover like pumpkin bread or something that you can wrap up and take with you. So
Yep.
that's really good.
Yep. All true. All true. Okay. Well, when you're out riding, whether you're testing or just out for your own self, are you listening to music ever?
Almost never.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Almost never.
Do you have music on when you're fitting?
No. Well, there's music on in the shop. I don't even know what it is though.
Okay.
I don't even know what's playing in there. I've usually got like right now I'll watch like Vuelta replays
Sure.
on TV. It's just kind of a little bit of background. No real music going. And for riding, I don't listen to music actually outside riding unless I'll do it for like if it's something really, really long and I know I'm going to be riding into the night, like a 24-hour race or like, something where I'm going past sunset, I'll take music, but I'll only use it once it gets like a set point in the night
Sure.
to get through.
Sure.
And for indoors, if I'm doing an indoor workout, I'll listen to music, but only if it's like a pretty hard workout, like something threshold or like VO2, then I'll use it because it is encouraging, but it's
So what is, when you're doing that go to the well style of workout, what are you listening to?
usually like old, like, let me think, probably stuff I listened to like middle school or high school a lot, like
That's what all of us listen to.
I know it's such like a standard thing to say, but like a lot of old like 311 Live stuff from like
Sure.
like even before I listened to like mid 90s, like early 90s, Offspring,
Yep.
what else? Deftones, Tool. Those would probably be like highest up on
Sure.
the list for me with that.
All right. So a new question that has developed in the last month or two on this show is that if you were to say, come to Unbound and we had a karaoke activation night with all the peoples, what song are you coming to sing at that evening?
Couldn't decide until I was in there, for real. You don't know. I don't think you would know what your. Most of us, I don't think you would know what your mindset's going to be in a karaoke bar somewhere at 11 p.m. until you're there. You're probably not able to predict anything else about what you'd be doing then anyway.
Well, that's probably the most honest answer we've gotten so far. So yeah, all good.
Maybe Shania Twain to throw something out there.
Oh, you and Tilly Shull will be singing Shania Twain together, apparently. Amazing. Okay, Next important question. Are you into Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Neither one very much. If I had to pick one, I'd say Lord of the Rings because I've read a lot of those. But
Okay.
Harry Potter, I have. I bet I know less about Harry Potter than anyone that's ever been on this podcast. That's my greatest claim. Uh, I I'm sure it's good. I just never got into it.
Yeah, it's all good, man. No worries.
Which means I miss references to things all the time when people are talking about it. But yeah,
Sure. You mentioned earlier that you have the large Wahoo Ace. I have a relationship with them that maybe we can talk about off the recording, where I can try and point you to someone there. But when you are riding on your bike, what is the screen that you have on primarily? Not like what do you swipe through, but like what's your main screen on your computer when you're riding?
right now it's my Chung mode screen is what I have it named. It's which is funny because I don't look at it hardly at all when I'm testing. But on there's time for the workout, power. There's cumulative elevation. I've got directional heading like north or northeast or whatever. There's a GPS accuracy screen on there, which most people don't realize GPS units even have that you can pull up. But that'll show you how many meters the unit's accurate to at the moment, and I'll have a temperature and kind of the actual display of like current elevation. But if I'm just going to ride like a map and that's it, that's
Sure.
it's sometimes not even the map. I'll just leave it on let me think. Time? Yeah, how much time I've ridden, like how many miles in elevation, maybe the grade. I like knowing that, but I usually ride with a power meter, but I don't keep it on the screen. It's
Sure.
I feel like it's like I don't know.
Shackles.
Yeah, it's almost like there's no way it's gonna benefit me.
Yeah.
Like when we were riding up at Mulberry, it was every time I looked at it, I was like, this is making me feel worse every time I see it. And I can probably ride better if I'm not looking at it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, my last question is, it sounds like you've ridden in a lot of places. You went and did Trans Iowa. That means you are a proper hard man. Where have you raced that is like your favorite place you've raced? And then the second part of the question is, what race do you see that you're like, I have never done that, but I would really like to do it?
Favorite place I've raced is probably Pisgah National Forest, North Carolina. I did the big adventure race they do in the spring out there with all the checkpoints and stuff, which is usually a big day, 70, 80 miles, like 10,000 plus feet of climbing. That's a cool area to ride. It's real technical, backcountry, big climbs. I like that. I like that a lot. And as far as where I want to go and what I want to do, I've raced a lot, so I don't have a super long list of places I want to go race at. But Margie Gesick has just got like a hold on my brain for the last few years. So that's and I've never been up there that far north in the country in that part. So I want to go see that and check out how serious business that those trails are up there, because they're supposed to be something like pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people find you if they want to follow along with your story and fall down the tire nerdery hole with you?
Yeah, there's plenty to be had. Instagram's the best one. FlexFitbyJohn on Instagram. So there's probably a pretty good mix of right now bike fitting stuff and tire testing stuff. I do a lot of stuff in the stories for what I'm testing at the moment. And from there, if somebody wanted more of my thoughts on what I'm testing and all that, I've got a Patreon page. It's pretty easy to find too. It's like MTB and gravel tire testing, something like that. But that it's pretty cheap, and that's a good spot for somebody that's like super into it and wants. I try to keep everything pretty like cut and dry on Instagram posts, but I'll get a little bit more into like my for real thoughts on
Sure.
and maybe future thoughts and stuff on the Patreon. So those are the main spots.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much for being here today, John. This was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks so much, JP.
Thanks for hanging out with John and me today. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with someone that you think might enjoy listening to this conversation. We have a lot of exciting guests coming up over the next few weeks and months. As I have mentioned before, we are booked out at the moment through January, totally full, and most of those conversations are happening right now or have happened already as we batch most of our episodes. But more important than any of that, and more important than anything we talked about today, please remember that you are loved.